Hart, garden director at Poplar Village Gardens, and I'm standing next to the rain barrels. You know, we've had a long, dry spring for what we would normally expect. On the property here right now we have about 950 gallons worth of rainwater catchment that's already set up. We had a lot of that full, and it was completely exhausted until we had our rain yesterday. And what we did get yesterday was like a light drizzle for a long period of time. So the plants got a good, fair drink, and we were able to collect, from what I've been able to tell, at least 150 plus gallons of water just with that light drizzle rainfall over the course of time. It's been very dry. It's hard to get seeds to start during that, and we spend a lot of time watering. So I am very thankful for that, and I'm also thankful that we had the foresight to install the slow watering systems out in the mounds, because all of those mounds were able to stay alive and stay healthy with the little bit of water we were able to give them. And we're going to take a tour of that today and look at some of the things that are coming up out here. And now that they've had a drink, they will be so much happier. One of the things that we've been struggling with, and I would say that this is a struggle every year, is to make sure that we have enough volunteer and staff to take care of the basic minimum plant needs. That's planting, harvesting, watering. Watering is a really time-consuming thing. I wanted to show one of the slow watering systems. We have installed these in every mound, and given that we haven't had a lot of rain lately, I think that as we go through the mounds, you're going to see that there is a lot of benefit to this deep, slow watering that we were able to do to keep these plants alive, and they look like they're pretty happy now that we've had a little tiny bit of rain. This mound right here is got watermelon plants in it, and our slow watering system is buried in the ground. And then what we do is we come through and fill that. Now, depending upon the temperature of the weather and the amount of rain that we get, that watering system might only need to be filled once a week instead of coming out here every day to make sure that the plants have water. Now, the wonderful thing about that is that the plants that are growing in these mounds, they are programmed to seek out the water. So if we put the water in the deep watering system, they are going to grow toward where the water is. So they will get the water that they need as long as we keep that watering system full. And you will see that as we look at some of these different mounds where we have installed these watering systems. We planted a lot of beans here. It's very obvious to me that the animals are eating from this, and we do plan for a certain amount of sharing with the nature that exists on the property. And these beans, it seems like they're trying to keep up, but they've had this deep watering system to keep them going. Now, what hasn't come up yet is the popcorn that's been planted in these mounds. That is to go along with the beans, but for the time being, we've got the beans, and they're well started and able to drink from the watering system we provided. So down here in the guilds, we don't get out here very often. We usually pick particular plants that we think might need extra attention with watering. We don't have slow watering installed in here, but what we do allow is, like, yes, there are things like grass and some of the bindweed that we don't really want in here. On the other hand, they are, in combination with the mulch, they're kind of helping to conserve water. And then we've got our native grass, our horseradish over here with the deep root systems. The natives really like to put their roots all the way down, and the deeper they go, the more hardy they are for these dry times when we are not getting as much rain. I'm standing here next to one of our kale plants that went to seed. It's really frustrating to be a gardener that doesn't have to be have time to be out in the garden in order to catch things at the opportune time of ripeness to be able to get the best harvest. We are looking at these. These are second-year kale plants. They produce very early in the spring, and then they go to seed. They produce flowers, and then they produce seed pods. And our general practice is to allow them to go to seed, and then to allow the seeds to drop. And you can see right here is a seed pod that's come open. It's already deposited its seed down here in this place. A couple of the other things, I think gardening can be really frustrating when you don't have water, or there are other things that are the animals are eating your beans, or whatever the situation is. But I try to come out in the garden and look for things that give me hope. I am standing here next to a little, not so little, cup plant that has found its way into the guild from our cup plants that are at the end of the drive on this side of the fence. Now, this will provide food for the pollinators. If you see, when it rains, this forms a cup which then collects the rainwater, and then it is available for the insects when they are ready. That is one of the cool things about natives, because I'm not exclusively natives, but you will hear me singing their praises because they are the heroes of the garden. I think the last really hopeful thing is that we have had some really great community building through our volunteer work days that we have had. Now, our next set of volunteer work days is the weekend of July 22nd. Unfortunately, that's also Pride weekend. But I think that we have them scheduled so that it can meet the needs of many people that want to come and garden with us. One of the products of our volunteer work day this past weekend was we were able to assemble the 2 garden beds that I had planned to assemble this spring, along with their corresponding cold frames. Now we have them in position and they are ready to fill. And I often start with a little bit of cardboard. If you use mostly 100% cotton, you can also use your dryer lint. We use cotton cloths for pretty much everything. So when they get too raggedy to use in the house, we can always put them in the garden beds or in the garden. We do the same thing with blue jeans that are way, way past their usefulness, where we can cut out the zipper, the brads, the buttons, all those kinds of things that don't biodegrade, but your 100% cotton jeans make great mulch or great bed fillers, and it keeps the resources on the property. This bed was installed, and we have put in here just a little bit of all of those things as the beginning of the process of filling the bed. And we plan to have these ready to plant in this fall.